Did they submit anything to show that that's how much that the kids are? That's how much they're paying actually on the kids, or is that just hearsay?
Hearsay? That it is in the interest of Kenley Clark and Creed Clark. Is that correct? Those are the two children before me today, Ms. Shipley?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Shipley, you are the moving party. You may call your first witness.
Judge, I would call Caleb Clark. And are you the father of Kenley and Creed?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you familiar with the mediated settlement agreement that reached an agreement on most issues in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you signed that freely and voluntarily?
Yes, ma'am.
As it pertains to the child support issues, did you provide me with a paycheck stub back in October?
I do believe so.
Judge, I believe that has been forwarded to the court as the paycheck stub, and I would like to label that Exhibit 1.
Petitioner's Exhibit 1 is now admitted into evidence.
Sir, what is your current hourly, or are you still employed with Troy Construction LLC?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your current hourly rate?
$17 an hour.
Have you gotten any raises since October?
No, ma'am.
Do you work at least 40 hours every week?
Just depends. I mean, it depends on if we get rained out, etc.
The paycheck stub that you provided us provided 20 hours of overtime. Is that common practice for you to work 6/10s?
No, ma'am. I mean, right now we're only working 50 hours a week, but give or take on 50 to 60 hours a week.
Sir, what days of the week are you working right now?
Right now we're working 5, and then we work half a day on Saturdays.
So you're getting anywhere from 50 to 60 hours per week?
Yes, ma'am. Like I just stated.
So it would average out about 15 hours of overtime a week, not the 20 that this paycheck reflects.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your per diem on this paycheck for 1 week was $690. Is that paid at a weekly rate or a daily rate?
It is I think it's $115 a per diem a day, and the per diem is for out of town living because it's non-taxable or anything like that. So it's out of town living. So like right now, I have to stay in a hotel, so I got to pay for that. So they pay me my per diem $115 a day to pay for my hotel, so it doesn't come out of my own pocket.
Okay. And what city are you working in?
I am all the way by New Orleans, on the Mississippi River.
Okay. And the extended stay week-long hotels in that area range from $350 to about $400 a week. What's right
now? No, ma'am. I just paid $715 for a whole week.
Where did you stay?
Cypress Inn.
That's
the cheapest one. That's the cheapest one around here. The other ones are $100 a night.
Well, $715 is more than $100 a night, right?
That's it. That's after taxes and everything. It's
Okay.
$100 a night before taxes.
Okay, so every other weekend you're supposed to be getting your children, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the MSA provides that if you work on Sundays, you don't get that weekend, correct?
What do you mean? What?
Sure. If you're working on a week that you're supposed to get the children, if you're scheduled to work Saturday and Sunday, then you forfeit that weekend. You don't get to see your children, right?
If I have to work, I won't be able to get them.
Right. That's what I meant.
Yes, ma'am.
And you in fact have forfeited the last 2 visits, right?
I know my kids were sick, and my fiance was out of town, so that I wasn't able to, and I had to work that weekend, so we wasn't able to get them.
Okay, so that's a little different than working half a Saturday, right? Because you didn't come get them because you were working Saturday and Sunday, right?
The reason we had to work Saturday and Sunday is because we rained out half a week. That's like I had to work yesterday also, and the only reason for that is because we was rained out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday too.
What do you get on a rain out day?
We don't get anything.
You don't get a 2-hour show up or anything?
No, ma'am, because if they rain us out before we get to the job site, that's like Tuesday. They rained us out Tuesday evening Tuesday evening for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if they rain us out the day before, we don't get nothing for our rainouts. Now, if we're on the job, say we show up to the right of way, we show up to our job site, then they're obligated to give us 4 hours and our per diem. But if they rain us out the day before for all those for the days and for like just like Tuesday, we got a group text that said we're rained out till Sunday. So that means we don't get no hours for the days that we don't work.
So did you drag up on Tuesday night and come home?
Ma'am?
Did you drag up Tuesday? I'm sorry, did you pack your things and return to Texas on Tuesday?
No, ma'am. I didn't go to Texas until Saturday.
Why did you stay in Louisiana Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday nights?
Because I was already paid up in my hotel room and my fiance was out of town. So there was no use. My hotel room is non-refundable. So I was already paid up. So I just stayed there instead of going back home and just sitting there also.
Okay. The $115 a day, some portion of that is supposed to be towards food, right?
Yes, ma'am.
How much, if you know, does the company calculate as for housing and how much for food?
Honestly, I do not know.
And has there been times during 2023 that you were working at locations where you drove to and from your home, even though you were collecting per diem?
I was driving 2 hours back and forth from my house for about 3 weeks, and that was it. And then we come down here.
Where was that location at? I thought it was in Lake Charles.
No, ma'am. It was on the other side of Lake Charles in Jennings, Louisiana.
Okay. And how long will this job last where you're at now?
Depends on whenever we get the line laid out and tie-ins and all that. It could be, they're saying that we'll probably be here till April.
And who else did you work for before Troy Construction?
Jones Construction, Jones Pipeline Services.
And do you recall when you left their employment?
It was last summer. I don't remember exact date or month or anything like that, but it was last summer.
And then you went to work for Troy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you were working for Jones, what was your hourly rate?
$16.
And what was your per diem with Jones?
$100.
So during 2023, you got a $15 a day raise with per diem and $1 an hour, right?
Rephrase that.
So basically, during the year of 2023, you got $1 an hour raise and a $15 a day raise on per diem when you get it.
It wasn't necessarily a raise, just certain companies pay different wages for a welder helper.
Okay.
I could go to strike, like say if I got employed by strike, they only pay their helpers $15 and $95. So it's not necessarily it's a raise, it's just that certain companies pay only certain wages for the welder helpers.
Who else did you work for besides Jones and Troy during 2023?
Sunland Construction.
When did you work for them?
Very beginning of the summer, like March, I think. March up until that job was over with, and I went to Tennessee for Jones.
How much did Sunland pay you?
16 and 100.
Do you have all your W-2s for 2023?
They're not on me right now, but I do believe they're at my house.
Do you know how much you made for calendar year 2023?
No, I do not. Actually, I don't even think I've got all my W-2s in yet for my 2023 year. I think I'm still waiting on a couple of them.
Okay. Do you have medical insurance available through your employer?
I do not do medical insurance. I do not do insurance through my employer. I do it third party. Like I get my own insurance so that I ain't got to keep filling out the paperwork every time I jump from company to company.
Okay. And you currently have insurance on yourself?
Yes.
Do you have insurance on these two children?
Which two?
Uh, yes.
No, I tried to get insurance, but I was told that they was on Medicaid, so
Okay. Are you aware that their Medicaid stopped in December of 2022?
no, I was not.
Okay. So their Medicaid was stopped in December of 2022. Were you told about the cost of health insurance while this litigation's been pending? Or were you told that mom got health insurance through her husband?
They said that they was gonna try to do that. She didn't say if they was getting it.
Okay. So as far as you know, your children don't have any health insurance?
I tried getting insurance, but she doesn't want me to carry the insurance.
And is that because she told you she already got insurance on them?
No, ma'am. That's because that they said they was waiting on him to get the job where he's at now and his insurance to kick in before they could try to do that. And that she didn't, that they wanted to do it. They wanted to put them under his insurance.
Have you paid anything on the braces yet?
I think I made one payment, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember.
And
I've slept since then.
That's all addressed in the mediated settlement agreement about the medical bills, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, as far as the medical insurance goes, you understand that if you didn't before, do you understand now that she has been providing health insurance for the children and is now?
Yes, I mean, according to you, they are.
Okay.
I was just wondering why I couldn't try to carry insurance for them on myself. You know what I mean? Like me carry it.
Well,
And
do you have any of that information with you today?
which information?
The cost, the plan, the coverage?
No, because I don't have none of their information to be able to do it.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Your witness, Ms. Brown Zito.
Thank you. Mr. Clark,
Yes, ma'am.
have any other dependents?
Ma'am?
Do you have any other minor children?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I have a son that just turned 7, or he'll turn 7 tomorrow. And we kind of do ma'am?
Is that your biological child?
Yes, ma'am. His name's Branson.
Are you ordered to pay? Does he live with you?
No, ma'am. We kind of do like a 50-50 thing because he is going to be homeschooled now. So we're doing a 50-50 where she has him for a couple weeks and I have him for a couple weeks.
Are you ordered to pay child support on him?
I pay $300 a month.
Now, do you have any other children that live with you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have my son Holton. He just turned a year old, January 17th. He lives in my household, and my fiance is pregnant with our little girl.
Okay.
And then I also have my stepson.
Okay. So you have another child, your son, that is 1, that lives
Yes.
with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are expecting your fiance is expecting another child in April.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have insurance on your son, either of your sons?
Yes, ma'am. Branson will be having insurance on him because their insurance, his insurance relapsed, and his mother contacted me and asked me if I could put him on my insurance, and I will be doing that.
Okay. What about your 1-year-old? Is your 1-year-old on your insurance?
The insurance that my 1-year-old does, I think right now he is on my fiance's insurance. Her insurance, I don't know what exactly she has or anything, but whenever he's gonna be on my insurance also. And I think in the middle of this year, I think is whenever his insurance runs out or something like that.
Do you know how much it's going to cost you to have all of your children on your insurance?
Yes, ma'am. As of right now, matter of fact, my fiance, last week, actually, whenever I got called by my other son's mother, Branson's mom, and we looked at everything to see how much it's going to be, and it's going to run me anywhere from about $600 to $700 a month
And
for everything.
You want to put all of your children on that insurance policy?
That's what I was trying to do because I carry dental. Cause I do all the dental, the eye, everything under mine. But my son Branson will be on my insurance probably in the next month or two.
Your Honor, I pass this witness.
Your witness, Ms. Shipley?
Thank you, Judge. Your son, is it Branson?
Yes, ma'am.
He lives in Corpus?
Yes, ma'am.
And when is the last time he was in Jefferson County for a visit with you?
You mean Liberty County where I live?
I'm sorry, Liberty County where you live?
I would say not. He was supposed to come down this weekend, but we had to throw him a birthday party. That's why I went to Texas Saturday or Friday night.
That's our weekend or his weekend to have the kids. Okay, you were in Texas this week on Friday night?
Yes, ma'am. I had to go to Corpus.
Okay, is that why you didn't pick up these kids?
We was supposed to swap weekends. I was told that we were swapping weekends.
Okay. Okay, and so you went to Corpus on Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
Is
And
that
then I drove all the way back right after his birthday party. I drove all the way back to here to New Orleans to go back to work Sunday morning. I drove all night.
okay, is that where your girlfriend was out of town too?
No, ma'am. She was in Bastrop. Her grandmother passed away, and they had to do a celebration of life, I think is what they call it, whenever they get cremated. And she had to do that. And on top of that, her sister is having complications with her pregnancy. So that she was down there helping her sister out in Bastrop, Smithville area.
Okay, and what court order does the Texas Attorney General take the child support for that other child out of your check?
No, ma'am.
There's not a court order for Branson, is there?
No, ma'am. We have discussed everything and have it written up and everything to pay for me to pay $300 a month.
Okay, but you
And then-
don't
And then we share custody.
but during 2023, you did not pay child support on that child, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You just voluntarily sent her $300 a month.
It wasn't voluntary. That's an agreement that we come up to, me and her.
But it's not withheld out of your check.
No, ma'am. I pay it. I pay it every month. $300.
Judge, we would ask that the court enter exhibit 2, the certified pay record of the Texas Attorney General.
There's no pleadings on file for confirmation of arrears in this case.
I understand, Judge. I understand that it would be to the point of what he's done and not done this past year.
This is a question, Ms. Shipley, about what his current child support ought to be.
Yes, sir, Judge, and our position is, and I think you'll hear testimony, that he does not pay for Branson. He's not under a court order to pay for Branson.
He's
And if he
not
send it-
he's not going to get credit for that child. He's not court ordered to pay for the child support, and that child doesn't reside with him, so he doesn't, under the law, he doesn't get credit.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll move on.
Yes, ma'am.
I pass this witness.
Your witness, Ms. Shipley, or Ms. Brownzito.
I have no further questions.
Ms. Shipley, your next witness, please.
I would call Caitlin Hanson. Would you state your name?
Caitlin Hanson.
And Miss Hanson, do you, you're the mother of the 2 children before the court, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have health insurance on the children?
Yes, my husband carries it.
And prior to December of 2022, how were the children insured?
They were with Medicaid until me and my husband got married in November of 2022. Then once we were married, he put myself and the children on his health plan.
And currently are the children insured on that health plan?
Yes.
Has Mr. Clark ever called you and said, hey, I'm getting insurance or I got insurance on these children?
No.
And how much does just the medical insurance cost per week for your husband?
It's $293.08 for just medical.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry, Ms. Shipley.
$293.08 for just medical.
Thank you.
Okay, and 293.08 per week. How many people does that cover?
That's 5. It's 2 adults, 3 children, 2 of kinley and creed, and then my stepdaughter.
Okay, and so if you take 293 times 52 weeks divided by 12 and calculate out the portion just for these children, how much is it for just these children's health insurance monthly?
508.
Okay, and then do you also cover dental?
Yes, it is $17.75 a week out of his paycheck.
And when you extrapolate that out for 2 children, what is that per month?
$30.77.
And do you also cover vision?
Yes, it's $3.50, which comes out to $6.07 a month.
Okay, and this court may not order the reimbursement of vision, but you have it. So just the medical and the dental is about $539 a month. And has Mr. Clark contributed to that amount at all?
No,
Are you asking that the court order him to reimburse you something on the medical?
yes,
Now, based upon the number crunching we did, are you asking the court to make him reimburse $400 a month on that medical?
yes,
Are you asking this court to consider his 40 hours a week at $17 an hour plus 15 hours of overtime at $25.50, plus some portion of his per diem as his weekly income?
yes,
Now, you've heard the testimony that he's getting $115 a day. You understand that part of that has to pay for a hotel that he would not pay for if he weren't working out of town.
correct.
You understand that part's probably not income to him.
Yes.
Have you known him during 2023 to drive to his job sites in Louisiana?
Yes,
During those times, was he still getting the $115 or $100 a day? Are you asking on a monthly basis that this court consider about $150 a week of that 700 or so towards his income?
Yes.
It wouldn't matter if he was working here, there, or yonder, he still has to eat, right?
correct.
And we've just randomly come up with the number 150. Do you believe that's fair?
Yes,
Have you seen any more recent pay check stubs from Mr. Clark,
No.
other than the one we got in October? Do you believe that his child support should be about $880 a month
yes,
plus $400 a month for medical?
Yeah.
Now, there is an arrearage of child support, correct?
correct.
And if that's not before the court to pay back at this point in time, you can file for the services of the Attorney General to get that established, or they have their own process for that. You understand that?
Yeah.
Has he gotten further behind in the last year?
Oh, yes.
Does that cause a hardship for you and the children?
Yes,
Does he exercise all his possession?
no,
Do you believe you're also taking care of the children during periods of time that were contemplated he would be feeding or clothing or housing?
oh, yes.
Pass the witness.
Your witness, Ms. Brown Zito.
I have no questions of this witness.
All right. Do you have any additional witnesses, Ms. Shipley?
No, sir.
Ms. Shipley, do you rest?
I do, Your Honor.
Ms. Brown Zito, do you have any additional witnesses that you wish to call?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so I've got some questions. So, Ms. Shipley, when you and Ms. Hanson were discussing and talking about the support, your figures were 880 plus 40 plus the 30 for the dental. Is that correct?
I had 882.
I deal in big numbers. I don't deal in little numbers.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then I did, 370 for medical and 30 for dental.
Okay. You did say, Ms. Shipley, in some of your discussion with your client, that you didn't feel like the per diem should be calculated as part of the gross income?
Judge, my client had calculated the full per diem in the child support calculations and believed that a portion of it, maybe 350, really does go to a hotel room there. So she's asking that the court use at least $150 of the weekly $690 towards income.
Okay.
And give him for some break. She's
Okay.
not opposed to the court including all of it.
Right.
However, what
Well, I mean,
she-
I got to subtract some of it for the cost of him having to work, to drive there, to work there and stay there.
Yes, sir, Judge. And that's what she and I had discussed. And she felt like out of the $690, if 150 of it was for food, just a nice round number,
Right.
that's the portion that should be included in income, which would make his his weekly gross $12,250.
Right.
And then we calculated from there the rest of the numbers I gave the court.
Okay. And currently, he's currently ordered to pay $758. That's from the divorce in 2018.
Yes, Judge, $758.33.
All right, Mr. Clark, I know that you heard everything that Ms. Shipley said. I know you heard what Ms. Brown-Zito said. Why shouldn't I base your child support on what you testified to?
I'm gonna tell you, on me, my per diem and everything, I pay anywhere. It's like I'm at the cheapest hotel right now, and I pay a little over $700 a week, and
Okay.
I'm at the cheapest hotel. If you
Right.
if my per diem gets calculated into everything, I only get paid per diem whenever I'm out of town.
Right.
All right. If I get on a job to where I'm like 30 minutes from my house, I
Right.
don't get per diem.
Well, let me
how's
ask you
that
this,
gonna
Mr.
work?
Clark. Let me
Yes,
ask you this, and this might be able to make it easier. In 2023,
Yes, sir.
last year, all the jobs that you worked in 2023, think
Yes,
about
sir.
it in your head for a second.
Yes, sir.
How many of those jobs did you not get a per diem?
Not very many.
You see?
Yes, sir.
I understand that you want me to take into consideration that you don't always get one. My problem is I'd rather take into consideration that you have to use a pretty good chunk of your per diem to stay on the job site to work.
Yes, sir.
That to me is more valuable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have to go there and stay there and spend your per diem in order to make the $17 an hour plus the overtime.
Yes, sir.
But to me, that's more important.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clark, is there anything else that you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
I know during our mediation, I've asked them to give me information and everything, and I've asked them if I could carry the kids on my insurance.
It's going to be too expensive, Mr. Clark. Your insurance is twice as expensive as Miss Hanson's.
Yes, sir.
So if I allow you to carry the health insurance, then I'm going to be taking child support money away from the kids that's going to be used to help raise them. I can't do that when the number's that big. Okay.
Yes,
So,
sir.
I mean, if it was a small number and because you have extra dependents, I would take that into consideration. The fact that Miss Hanson and her husband have another dependent, that would have to be factored in. But I don't even have to get there because there's just such a large difference in how much you would cost and how much it costs them.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not going to ask you to pay all of Miss Hanson's medical, only your portion of it that goes for your kids.
Yes, sir.
So it's even smaller than that portion.
Do they have statements and everything saying that how much the kids and everything
Well,
that?
here's what's going to be the order of the court. When I order Miss Hanson to carry the health insurance through her husband, she's
Yes.
going to be required to send you the cards and the policy. So you can use that health insurance when the kids are with you if you ever need to.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're paying for the health insurance, so you should be able to use it when you have the kids in your possession.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And vice versa. I mean, if you were carrying it, I would order you to send that
Yes, sir.
information to her.
Did they submit anything to show that that's how much that the kids are, that, you know what I'm saying? Like they're like, that's how much the kids they're paying actually on the kids, or is that just hearsay?
Hearsay? It's not hearsay because Ms. Hanson is in direct knowledge of how much it costs. She has the right to tell me what it is. Just like you have the right to tell me that yours was 600 or 700.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clark, is there anything else that you think I need to know about the case?
No, sir.
Okay. Those were good questions, Mr. Clark. All right.
Yes, sir.
The court's going to find the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find, based on the testimony of Mr. Clark and Ms. Hanson, there has certainly been a material substantial change of circumstance in this case since the divorce decree in 2018. The court is going to take judicial notice of its own file, which will include all of the current controlling support orders as well as the mediated settlement agreement. We're going to talk about that here in a second, but right now I just want to address the support issues. Mr. Clark will be ordered to pay child support for these 2 children. I can only give him credit for one other dependent by law. He doesn't have child support order nor any type of custody order in regards to the child that is not living with him in corpus. And so therefore I cannot by law give him credit for that dependent. That's the way the law is written. So that's how it has to be ruled upon. I will, however, give him credit for the dependent that is in his household. Unfortunately, Mr. Clark, I also cannot give you credit for a child that is not yet of this world. And therefore, I cannot give you credit for a child that's going to be born in April. I can't assume that's going to happen. I'm going to set child support in this case at $850 a month. Ms. Hanson will be ordered to maintain the health insurance through, trying to remember how that's worded in the family code. I haven't used this one in a while. Through a secondary source, which would be her husband's health insurance. Mr. Clark will be ordered to maintain the premiums on that in accordance with the testimony. So therefore, in addition to child support, Mr. Clark will pay $370 a month and an additional $30 a month for the dental. All payments will begin February the 1st of 2024. Now, does Ms. Shipley, as far as you know, does that take care of all of the issues that were before me that were referred from the district court?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's take up the issue of how we want the order to be drafted. And Mr. Clark, I'm going to get to you what your rights are in here in just a second. But what I basically have here is I have one lawsuit that's been split in 2. I have the conservatorship and the visitation and the other issues from the MSA that are still in the district court. But then I have the referral from the district court, which is the child support and the medical support. Ms. Shipley, you are the petitioner, so I will ask you, do you want to prepare the child support order, or do you want me to order Ms. Brown-Zito's office to prepare that separate and you can attach it to your whatever your final order is going to be in front of the judge?
Either one, but I would like Miss Brown-Zito to do it if possible.
I think that would probably be easiest, but I didn't want to suggest it until you made up your mind how you wanted to do it. I never like to push people in a direction. I'd like you to make that call first. I think that would probably be best, that if Ms. Brown-Zito would prepare a modification order for the simple issues of child support and medical support, and then she can send that to you and you can attach it. I will sign it. I will be happy to sign it to show the district court that those issues have been decided for me by me for the district court. You can either attach it and incorporate it by reference or make just reference to it in your court order, and that way it'll all be jumbled together as just one conglomerated court order, so we don't have to pick and choose what parts of it we have to look at in the future. Will that take care of that issue for you, Ms. Shipley?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Brown-Zito, I hate putting you in that spot, but I think you're probably in the best position to create that modification child support order. Do you have any objection to me ordering you to prepare that court order?
Well, I can prepare it, Your Honor.
Okay.
It's just the modification, and I think I have. What is the gross monthly wages that you use?
Whatever the guidelines say. I base it on guidelines.
I can do the math backwards with Miss Brown-Zito to get the order done.
Yeah, it's just
I'll figure out.
It's just reverse math.
Yeah. I don't like reverse math.
I do. I love reverse math. It's called a puzzle, and I love puzzles. All right. So
I can figure it out.
but we know the numbers: 850 plus 370 plus 30. That's the medical and the dental, and that'll start February the 1st. And Mr. Clark, here's what's going to happen now. Ms. Brown-Zito's office is going to prepare a court order. She's going to send it to Miss Shipley's office to make sure that the language in the court order that I just administered is going to jibe with what Miss Shipley's also heard me say.
Yeah.
And then if it does, they're going to send it to me and I'm going to sign it. And then I'm going to send it back to them. They're going to make a copy of whatever I sign and send it to you. So that's not a problem. I would
Yes, sir.
anticipate that Miss Shipley will then turn around and go back in front of the district judge with my court order and say, the support issues have been decided by the associate judge. Now we just need to finish the court order and get the whole thing finalized, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. However, in regards to the issues that I decided today, Mr. Clark, you have the right to appeal. If you wish to appeal the ruling that I've made today, you have 3 business days for which to file written notice of appeal with the Hardin County District Clerk's Office. Your appeal has to be in writing. You've got to be specific in your appeal to tell the referring court, that's the district court above me, what part of my ruling you disagree with, and you're responsible for sending a copy of that written appeal to all the other non-appealing parties. That's Ms. Brown-Zito and Ms. Shipley, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, you don't have to appeal, but that is your right if you wish to do so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would, if you intend to appeal, I would not wait till you get my signed court order in your hand before you do that, because it might take 4 or 5 days after I sign it before you get it. And your time period is technically going to start to run as soon as I sign it.
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does
Ms.
that take care of
Shipley-
all the issues today, Ms. Brown-Zito?
Your Honor, I just have a question. Ms. Shipley, are you wanting to sign this order, or are you okay with me submitting it without your signature?
I'd like to sign it.
No problem.
And I think she should. I mean, it's her pleading. So, I mean,
Right.
it's, if I was the referring court, I might be a little put out about the fact that Ms. Shipley's the petitioner and she didn't sign the order that was presented. But I'm
I just have
not
one
the
question.
referring court. I'm not the referring court, so I wouldn't be put out no matter what. All right. Hey, good case. You had some good issues here that really needed to be boiled down. The attorneys did a wonderful job making sure that information got to me. Mr. Clark, you did a wonderful job representing yourself. You gave me the information I think I needed in order to make good decisions for the kids. Ms. Shipley, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Clark, I wish you the best of luck. You're free to go.
I had a question. Are they going to be pulling that out of my check every week, or is it
Yes,
going to
sir.
be?
If you
All
get paid every week, it'll come out of your check every week.
All right. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if I had to send off an additional payment or something like that.
Now, the AG's office will send it, but hopefully, when is your next payday?
Thursday of this week.
Okay, so that's going to be in February. You might want to throw an extra $50-$60 in there to make sure you're kind of catching up, keeping and not getting further behind. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to y'all. You're all free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
My inheritance from my father is continuously calculated in the previous child support orders, which from my understanding on the child support manual is not accurate. It refers to gifts and such, and it's not considered income in any other taxing or anything like that.
Regarding the inheritance, Mr. Rue inherited a $300,000 home about 1.5 years ago. That was fully paid off. That reduces significantly his expenses. In addition, when child support was initially computed, his inheritance was not included. It was, I don't know if it was intentionally withheld or just not something that was brought up, but it was not included in the first 3 years.